Hi, this is Dave. For the past 6, and now this will be 7 podcast, I have been talking about the qualities of character of a successful business leader. And, this started out with a question I was asked by a young business guy. So which is the most effective business model? And my reply was not what he was expecting, but my reply was that the business model was second to the character of the CEO. So that just led to a series of posts on the characteristics, the character traits of a successful business leader. And today we're going to finish this with number 7. So far we have talked about an unquenchable work ethic, an ability and propensity to learn, a continuous quest for more, unwavering self-control, integrity, and a pervasive sense of humility. And now today I'm adding the 7th and final of the character traits I believe are essential in a successful business leader. And the last one is courage. Courage. Wow. Now, I don't mean to imply that these are the total portrait of a successful business leader. There are dozens of other attributes that will enhance a person's ability to work with others and be successful. But I think these 7 traits mark the essence of a business leader's character. And without a significant dose of each, his or her career will be somewhat stunted and will fall short of the heights to which it could reach. So let's look at courage. Courage. The Oxford Dictionary defines courage as the ability to do something that frightens one. Then Wikipedia adds this: courage or bravery is the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation. Oh, I like that. Let me just repeat it. The willingness, the choice, and the willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, and intimidation. Physical courage is courage in the face of physical pain, hardship, death, or threat of death, while moral courage is the ability to act rightly in the face of popular opposition, in the face of shame, scandal, discouragement, and personal loss. Wow. So, very few business leaders face threats that call for physical courage. We're probably not out there worrying about pain, hardship, death, or threat of death. But they need moral courage to accomplish anything of substance. Starting a business enterprise almost always requires the entrepreneur or the leader to face personal loss. And typically, that is the income associated with the job they're leaving to start a business. And often, they must use their homes as collateral to acquire that first business loan. So the prospect of personal loss is often very real, and it is hovering just over the horizon. Now, the lack of courage to face the risk of personal loss is one of the barriers to entry for a lot of would-be entrepreneurs. They just don't want to take the risk. Having said that, little of any substance, I believe, can be accomplished without a courageous leader willing to shoulder the consequences of failure. Examine major enterprises and big movements, and you'll always find a courageous leader somewhere in the formative stages of that enterprise. One of the greatest examples, I think, comes from the pages of the Bible in the story of Joshua. So here's the story. Moses has died, and the Hebrew people are standing at the threshold of the Promised Land. Joshua is now the leader of the Hebrews, and he's charged with the task of conquering the people living in the promised land and taking possession of it. And God gives him this promise, and I'm going to quote here from the Bible, Joshua chapter 1, quote, "I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. No one will be able to stand up against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you or forsake you." End quote. Sounds to me like a slam dunk. It doesn't get any better than this. A personal promise from God himself that no one will be able to stand up to you. Yet, every major enterprise requires a courageous leader. God knew that, and he encourages Joshua. Now I'm going to quote again Joshua chapter 1, verses 6 through 9. Listen to what God says to Joshua. Just after he told them, no one is going to be able to stand up to you because I'll be with you. Now he says, "Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to give their forefathers. Be strong and be courageous." Joshua, a little bit later, "Joshua, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous." Wow, Joshua is about to lead a major enterprise, and this is the movement of hundreds of thousands of people into an enemy's territory, dozens of battles with the established forces. He's going to face enormous pressure from both inside and outside the camp. And what quality of character does he need to face up to these challenges, to stand in the face of opposition, to combat the forces allied against him? What character trait? Courage. Courage was necessary for leadership. Remember, God said to him, "Be strong and be courageous," because, why do I need to do that, God? Because you will lead. There may be other places, but I don't know of any other place in the entire Bible where God repeats himself word for word 3 times in the course of one conversation. And he says 3 times to Joshua, "Be strong and be courageous." Courage is that important to the success of any enterprise. The larger or newer the enterprise, the more courage is required. Joshua's was a huge challenge, and even with the promise of divine intervention, it required a correspondingly huge dose of courage. Well, let's talk about courage in business. Courage initiates. That's why it's so important. He said it sees an opportunity and it acts. While others can analyze, speculate, and procrastinate, the person with courage gets out of bed, gets dressed, and launches out to take on the challenge. Any new enterprise, whether it's leading the Hebrews into the promised land or starting a new business, requires someone to act. And that action always carries with it the prospect of personal loss and criticism. That's why courage is so essential. Courage is contagious. That may be the one reason why it's required of a leader. It's like the spark that starts the bonfire. There's a lot of potential to logs that surround a fire, but none of that potential to release heat and energy will be realized until a spark bursts into a flame. Someone must start it. Someone must act. Once the flame appears, the others can join in and create a raging fire. But that someone has to act, and that someone is a courageous leader. The literature associated with wars and battles, for example, is full of the stories of individuals who act courageously, and in so doing, they inspire legions of others to do likewise. Courage grows out of the belief of something worthwhile that is valuable and attainable on just the other side of the action. In Joshua's case, note that God gave him the task and the promise of divine intervention first, and then encouraged him to be courageous. The action that courage stimulates, without something to attain, becomes foolishness. When you have something to attain a higher and greater purpose for the action, then courage becomes essential. There is a line between courage and foolishness, and knowledge tips the scale. A foolish person launches into a new venture without understanding the potential for personal loss, for criticism, for embarrassment and shame. The courageous leader gathers that information first, and equipped with a degree of knowledge, decides to initiate action and lead the troops. Courage may be the character trait that defines a great business leader. Without courage, the other traits in our series sit on the bench waiting to be deployed. Courage, because it initiates. It is what gets everyone off the bench and engaged in the fray. No great business leader attains a serious degree of success without it. Okay? Hey, before I go, just want to again encourage you to check out the Excellence and Influence community where we hope to gather courageous people. You know, it's just what it says. It's an online community that our emphasis is on helping people gain excellence in what they do and gain influence. And I suppose courage is necessary. Well, anyway, I'll put a link in the show notes. Check it out, the Excellence and Influence community. Okay, that's it. We're done. Bye-bye.